How's it going, guys? Welcome back to AJ's Garage. What we're going to work on in this video is putting the front clip back together and back on the truck. So that'll take care of the fenders, the inner fenders, the radiator support, core support, and we're also going to clean up some of the firewall and fix some issues there. So we're going to start with the firewall. As you can tell, I've already kind of sanded that area right over there. Moving over this way to the driver's side, I want to try and find some grommets to plug those holes there. And then this side I also sanded and cleaned up as well. I'm just going to apply some primer just to keep some of that metal protected before I put back on the front clip support here. It pretty much holds all of the weight and attaches the front clip to the cab on both sides as well as sitting on the frame. But I'm going to primer those sections right there that I sanded down. So this is after cleaning up some of the firewall. I opted just to clean that upper section right there. I'm not too worried about this right now, as you can't really see most of this in here because of the inner fender, how it comes down. But clean that all up. I've got this side taped off just a little bit so we don't get too much overspray on the windshield. And again, not too worried about the section down here, but got that taped off and just going to apply some primer over it. So these are the fenders for the truck. They're still in pretty good shape. All I'm going to really do is take some degreaser and clean up the inside here, especially right up in there. But then this one also on the right is the driver's side fender where this bracket broke off. So I'm going to have to take that off and see if I can weld that back on the truck. It actually goes underneath the cab right here. Let me see if I can get under and show you guys. This is the passenger side. This one is still intact. So this right here, sorry, there's still a bunch of dirt and stuff in it. This one broke off and the other piece is still over on the other side of the truck. So I'm going to have to weld those back on. So a little more information on the truck, guys. The truck was manufactured in June 1970, of course. It's been in California its whole life. It was actually manufactured at the Milpitas plant, which is now the Great Mall, which is up in the San Jose area. So if anyone is from that area, that mall, which has some window displays about the factory there, is where this truck was built. We've had no rust issues except for this one right here. Let me show you. So back in the intro video, I believe I went over this little rust spot on the cab, which actually, you can kind of see the white in there, goes through to the kick panel here on the passenger side. So this is the only real rust issue I run into on the truck so far. You can see this stuff is pretty, it's still got some strength to it, but not in good shape. And this is some more of it down here. Now I believe where this came from, or why it started, is when it rains, water will go through the vents here and come down the cab, and that section that I showed you down here, I believe, is where it drains out. Now if the truck was sitting for some time, we could have had some leaves and stuff plug this hole up here and cause water to sit, which would in turn create rust. So I am going to have to replace that, or at least cut some of this away, treat the metal, and plug the hole from the inside there. So this is the passenger side inner fender. The battery tray goes right there. Clean this one up as well. It looks solid. There's no real rust issues. I'm going to remove this protective layering here. Looks like it just prevented from so much dirt and stuff from getting in the engine bay, but I'm going to take that off, clean this up, and paint it as well. So here are both inner fenders. The one to the left is the passenger side, the one to the right is the driver's side. This one is upside down, so this is the bottom view. Just cleaned it up with some degreaser and just a brush and brushed it down. So there's a little bit of surface rust, but no issues here. And then both of them kind of look like this. Sorry about the lighting there. Same thing, cleaned them up just with some degreaser and a brush, and they both just have minor surface rust in areas. I was going to take some paint thinner and apply it all right along here to just get some of that white paint off easier, and then sand them down a little bit. Not too worried about them, and then give them a coat of paint. Here is the driver's side inner fender after sanding it, degreasing it, and then cleaning that off and letting it dry. I wasn't too worried about getting it down all the way completely to metal. I just kind of wanted a smooth surface. There really isn't any rust issues on these fenders. But this is how it looks. There's some thicker surface rust down here at the bottom. And then moving on to the passenger side inner fender, which I actually just sprayed with a light coat of primer. So there it is. Gonna apply some more primer, let that set overnight, and then paint them out black. So looking at the front of the truck, this is the driver's side core support. I've already taken some sandpaper to it and just taken it down, cleaned up the surface. I'm not really worried about getting it too perfect, but as you can see, all the metal, I just need to clean out these little pieces here, but all the metal is still in really good shape, no rust. Working my way over to the passenger side looking forward, which I'll expect is going to be the same, no real rust issues, and then we'll move on to the back. So here is the core support after a few coats of primer. After this last coat, I just took some fine sandpaper, went over the whole thing, just cleaned it up a little bit more before I apply some black paint to get it all finished up. Alright guys, so in that last little clip, I had the core support right here, all primered, and now as you can see it's all painted in black. Got it on the truck, got the radiator back in. The inner fenders are a little dusty, but also back on the truck. All I have left to do now is just reassemble all these front pieces, the hood latch, get the front grille put on and the headlights, and then it'll pretty much be back together. So one of the last things I need to put on the front clip of the truck are these fog light markers. They originally had these bolts that were, I don't know if they were just kind of spot welded on, but when taking these off, the bolts snapped on both sides. So the passenger side one has no bolts like this, and then this one just kept this one, but they go right there. Now, to replace these from LMC is like $80 for one, not the pair. So what I've decided to do is take a drill, kind of drill a hole, and grind that off, buy some bolts, and then pop those back in place. Alright, so here is one of the fog lights installed. This was the driver's side. The driver's side one had, one of the existing bolts was still intact, so I actually decided to leave that one in. The one on this side I was able to grind the cap off, and went and bought these bolts at the local hardware store. I bought them with these caps like this, so I can just stick a flathead lengthway like this instead of having to come from the top and then just tying it from the bottom. The passenger side one, both of those bolts had snapped when I removed it, so drilled 2 holes in it, and now I'm going to install this side. Also, I'm replacing the bulbs, and I just cleaned up the lens housing with some Goo Gone, so they cleaned up pretty well. So I'm going to pop those back on. So both of the turn signal indicators are back on the truck. So that completes the front end. The only piece that I am missing is this little piece of trim here that goes along the whole front of the hood. So I do plan to eventually order that again from LMC Truck, and that'll give the front end the complete look. Let me show you under the hood. So in the engine bay, from earlier in the video, I did paint the inner fenders both. It was just a flat black color. And this guard here, I also painted black. Did a gloss back on this one, and then the core support, a gloss black. I'll show you guys a video of what the core support looked like before. And it just gave the truck a different appearance because it wasn't completely black behind it. I feel like now it definitely changes the front appearance of the truck. It looks cleaner, so I like how it turned out a lot better. As for some of the parts that I did order, I just ordered a bunch of replacement bolts and clips. Some of the bolts that I removed, I had to cut out with the grinder, or the threads were pretty messed up, so I didn't want to reuse those. The new ones I mostly placed in the easy access spots, especially because they would be more visible to see. So as you can see, there's some there. Tying the inner fenders, the fenders, and the front grille together there. Some of the other ones are on the back side of the core support here, and then they're also visible through the grille. Another upgrade I plan on doing eventually is changing the headlights. I've seen some LED replacement bulbs. They run a couple $100, but they make a big difference in the appearance of the truck. So hopefully in the near future I can get that done. But besides that, the front end is completely reassembled and back on the truck. Thanks for watching.